Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Spiritual Grind. We hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to follow, hit the little bell for your notifications when the podcast is posted, and follow, and share with your friends. We hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to speak about.
Follow, share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny. We're back on the air. For some reason, we had a technical difficulty there.
Yep, whatever was being talked about. Obviously, it wasn't time for that to be.
Yeah, still have to edit this together. I don't know what caused that, but
of course you do.
Well, of course, we were talking about a topic that needed to be stopped. I reckon so. But anyway, so the contrast that we were talking about previously, I think, moving on to the next subject, because obviously we weren't supposed to talk about that, is the fact that contrast is a natural part of evolution, because if you don't know what you don't want, you won't ever know what you do want, and the contrast in between those is what helps identify those. And so understanding that contrast in a relationship happens is a big stepping stone in a relationship. You agree?
Contrast is always a big stepping stone.
Right.
In every aspect. That's what gives us the navigational standpoint of creating exactly what we want. So contrast is just a part of the whole divine mechanism.
I agree. I totally agree. And so when you experience a contrast in a relationship, being prepared for that takes a couple of things. A is you have to check your ego.
What does that mean?
You don't let your ego get in the way of what the words that you're hearing by becoming defensive. I think your ego is what fuels the defensiveness.
No, it's not your ego. It's your judgment of yourself that causes the defensiveness to come in. Okay. You're viewing yourself as though you did something wrong, or as though you did something incorrectly, or you didn't do it good enough. It's a self-judgment.
Okay.
It's not about your ego necessarily. It's that what happens is when you judge yourself and you scold yourself or get onto yourself for not doing it correctly or doing it perfectly, if you have a hard time looking at yourself and really becoming accountable for that and saying, okay, this is about me judging myself, and I'm okay with everything that happens, getting to that place of knowing that it's happening in exactly and precisely the way that it's supposed to happen. If you're not okay looking at yourself and being accountable, then you'll take and you'll project that off onto other people.
And twist it around.
Other groups, other things. And more times than not, in our intimate relationships with our partners, significant others, husbands, wives, whatever, we tend to do that more easily because it's impolite to do it to strangers, or
Agreed.
Unprofessional to do it to non-intimate people. And so we tend to deflect that off if we're not willing to look at that. And so we're a lot meaner or harsher on the people that live in our house on a regular basis, or that we're around on a regular basis, because we can be unprofessional or we can be impolite if we're not willing to look at ourselves.
Agree.
So then what happens is that person says, oh, well, you're being judgmental, and I'm going to go in the defense, or I'm a victim because you're doing this to me. And you get wrapped up in all of that, when the reality is that it's you judging your own self is why you feel that way.
Right.
And not ready to look at it or be accountable for, you're doing it to yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah, the person's not doing it.
I agree.
They were just a triggering mechanism that caused
it to come up. And it's happening for you, not to you.
And it was a beneficial opportunity. It feels a lot better, and it's a lot more easier to digest when you can get to a place of looking at it of, wow, this is so exciting. I am so glad that you brought that up, and I'm glad that it bumped up against that spot, because that means it's ready to be looked at. I'm at a place where I can actually look at it and clean it up, and I won't ever have to have that be a bump up against spot again. So look at me evolve.
Yeah.
And getting excited about that from that perspective.
Agreed.
Rather than oh my God, I have to work on myself again. Oh my Lord, is this ever going to be done? Am I ever going to be freaking perfect? That's a much different energy.
You're always perfect, but never done.
Right. That's not what the game is about.
Right.
You didn't come here to get it done.
Because I am perfect.
Indeed. You are perfectly perfect in every way.
I am. Not done, but perfect.
That's right. And we know we'll never get it done.
I agree.
That's not the purpose. If that were the purpose, then you would go to sleep and not wake up. You would go into your spiritual aspect and you would go back to your natural state of being.
Interesting. It's a good topic. It's a good topic. I think it brings to the table some room for thought for people and allows them to be maybe have a little bit more clear direction in relationships when it comes to the contrast, because it will happen because you're two different individuals. It's not, I mean, it's naive to go through life and think that you're never going to have any contrast.
And be appreciative of that other person, and be appreciative that they are willing to be that character for you. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that I'm very appreciative that you agreed in our non-human form to be that person that will bring to me when I am not aware of things that I could clean up and change my reality. Being that person that is willing to bring that to my awareness, I'm very grateful for that, because sometimes being that person is not the easy journey.
I agree. Especially
if it's a highly charged area that is going to cause me to go into a place of harsh self-judgment and make me angry or make me frustrated or make me sad.
Yeah.
Or one of those heavier emotions. It's an opportunity to clean it up, but I am a human as well. And so sometimes there'll be things that you bring up and I am absolutely not willing to look at them. And I will be frustrated, mad, sad, some sort of emotion within it. And I have to just take that. And so as the what are you?
The re you said
I wonder what that word means in another language.
Apparently.
Is that my alien side trying to communicate alien language?
Yeah, no.
As the giver of that information, then it is sometimes a challenge to know that this information that I'm about to give to this person is not going to be well received because they have some deep-seated stuff around that still. And they quite possibly could lash out at me. It's hard to be in those shoes.
Agreed. I agree.
And
it's hard to be on both sides of it.
I am appreciative as the receiver of that information that you're willing to put yourself in those shoes so that I can have the opportunity to see some of that garbage that's ready to come up and come out and give me the opportunity to be aware of it. I'm very grateful that you're willing to do that, no matter how challenging it is.
Well, no, I appreciate that you are too.
And so if you can be in that place.
Oh my God. Little Johnny, shut the door. Sorry, that's her godson. He's opening the door trying to get your attention.
Yeah. It's God help me.
Mama, look at me, I'm over here.
Yes.
Mama, I got a question for you.
Well, being quiet means that you don't talk.
I'm whispering.
I told you could stay in the studio if you could be quiet.
I have a question.
What is your question?
What are we going to act as?
What?
Are we going to be an actor? Because you said that we were going to act as, but you didn't say what we were going to act as. What are we going to do, Mama? I'm excited.
Right now you're acting as an annoyance to me.
I want to be an actor. I can be Brad Pitt. I can be Batman. Can I do that?
Yeah, but not right now.
What
I'm
if
trying
we-
to talk to those people out in the world about topics that are helpful.
Little Johnny, go back over there and sit down and quit acting that way. I'm sorry, Papa. I'm sorry. Mama,
Yes.
if we act, we as what?
Act however you want, I guess.
You said
Just
act,
don't,
we as.
don't act like an ass.
I, you said a dirty word. You go get pow-pows from Papa. Little Johnny, now quit. Go sit down over there. I'm sorry, Papa. I'm talking to Mama. Little Johnny, you go over there. Little Johnny. Little Johnny's my name. What's your name?
What?
Okay, little Johnny, let us finish up. Go sit down over there. Go ahead. Go sit down. Yes, sir. I'll be quiet.
God help me. Dear Lord, give me wings so I can fly far away from here.
Sorry, guys. That's little Johnny. He's our godson, and he's visiting this week.
He's not a real person, y'all.
I'm Wheel.
This is just my husband who
I know you.
hasn't taken his medication.
I'm Wheel.
God.
I know you. Did you
Help.
get you coffee gum?
Help. Help.
What do you need help for? I help you, Mama.
Help.
I help you.
This is
Anyway,
my
so-
husband liking to play with the buttons.
Yeah, I can play with the button. I found a new one I can play with. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
There you go.
Well, I feel pretty complete about today's podcast. Thank you all for letting me entertain you for a minute because that was kind of fun for me. I feel
Yeah.
good. You feel good?
Do you want to do a little quick recap?
Yeah, we can do a recap.
Since we went in some crazy directions.
We have, and we had a little
And I'm
audio.
not sure what the technical thing is going to do whenever we have the editor edit this. So it might be beneficial to kind of recap.
So recapping, we were discussing, being prepared for contrast because contrast is a part of our being. And in a relationship, understanding that the contrast is not a targeted attack, or maybe it's on you or you're giving it to somebody else, being open and receptive to it without your emotions within it is one of the easiest ways to handle that. Do you agree?
And that's what you mean by being prepared.
Yes, be prepared. Go into anything that rings your bell with the open mind of, okay, so if this just made me angry, why did it make me angry? And why am I taking it as that it's wrong? Stop and open your mind, look at it.
Look at yourself.
Look at
within
yourself in it, and be thankful, and remember that the reality is happening for you, not to you. And I think that I have to remind myself of that all the time.
Right. Remember who. I think the other key sometimes we forget in a relationship is, especially when you've been together for a while, you've got to remember who this person is.
Yes.
And they always have your highest and best interest at heart. I paused. Here's why I paused. There are some relationships, and don't get me wrong, there are some relationships out there that are truly not healthy, that are truly difficult to, and it brings up questions of, should I even be in the relationship? Is there verbal abuse going on? Is there physical abuse going on? And you did create those realities, and in a rabbit hole situation, you created even those, but we're not going to go into that. If you find yourself in those kinds of relationships, you still can only change you within it, and you got to make some heavy decisions. But we'll talk about that in a different podcast because those are a little bit different to navigate whenever you're the victim of a perceived victim of physical abuse or verbal abuse. You got to go about those in a little bit different direction. But for the most part, your partner has your best interest at heart and truly does love you. And you have to remind yourself of that. He's not doing an attack towards me. He's sharing this information because somewhere in our existence, he said, I will give you information as it comes up along the journey that will help in your evolution and your growth.
Totally.
So if it bothers you,
It's an agreement between two people completely.
right.
And understanding that you both made this agreement not only in this human flesh suit, but also prior to coming here.
Well, I was going to go in one other.
Okay, go ahead.
Unless the person bringing about the information is coming from a place of judgment or a place of expecting, or, I guess what I'm saying is, if I come at you and I say, you're not doing that right, and it's stupid the way that you're doing it.
I don't like the way you make me feel.
Right.
Yeah.
That's you not looking at your own
That's
self
gaslighting.
as to why you feel the way you feel. And you're coming into the conversation already delivering information that is not from the best place.
Right. If they're playing their emotions against you and using the blame game, I think is one of the best way to identify that, correct? If they're saying you did this and it caused me to feel this way.
Because even if they're gaslighting you because they're coming from a place that's not completely loving because of their things that they're needing to clear, if you're not also don't have something that can be cleared or worked on, it won't trigger you. It'll just be like, okay, they're pitching a little baby fit, and it would be very easy to have still that state of neutrality because it's not triggering anything for you. It's their journey.
Agreed.
And so it's okay to say, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. And you can either participate in the conversation or you can walk away and say, not my business, not my bubble. When you get done throwing a fit in the floor, then I'll have a conversation with you. But if you feel like your knee-jerk place is wanting to jump in and start a full-on brawl with them, then you've got stuff to look at as well.
Agreed. So, yeah, I agree with you that if it pops in your reality, then there's something for you to look at. And just know that even if it's an emotionally charged conversation, that there's something there for both of you, probably, or one of you. It really is just being prepared and open to it.
Yeah. So on the recap, I think we're just kind of going over how to create a beneficial and maybe healthier way to communicate on topics that maybe were perceived as hard topics to talk about.
Yes. And those topics can be sometimes tough, man. And even for us, we have issues with them sometimes, but just being...
Do you need a Kleenex? Because they're all over the floor.
That was random.
You said issue. Oh. And I wanted to say bless you.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Issue. That's you. Do we need little Johnny to come back and pick him up?
No.
He can come pick up the tissues.
No. So what's the story about the Kleenexes all over the floor?
That's your cat.
Yeah. So we have the little Plumley girl. She's a movie star in the making. She likes to come into the studio and hang around because it's a nice, calm, quiet place. Not all the cats always get along, so she comes in here for her quiet reprieve away from everybody. Well, apparently she gets bored, or she's created a new game with the Kleenex and the Kleenex box. And I came in the other day, and the box is off of James's table, and it's on the floor. And all of the Kleenexes have been plucked out, one or two at a time. And they are literally scattered about the entire studio. Some of them ripped up, some of them chewed on, kind of like a dog. And they're just scattered about like it was a game.
When I let her in here the other day and I poked my head and looked, she was actually laying and rubbing on them.
Yeah, they must have some sort of smell or something.
Must have or something.
I don't know. I'm not sure why.
Anyway.
Perhaps I'll take a picture and have our social media gal, Chloe, post it so that you all can see Yeah, what it looks like, because it's quite comical.
It is.
Anyway.
We'll put a picture of little Johnny up one day too. Anyway, hey, I feel complete with the podcast. Do you?
Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for listening. Like, follow, and share. Don't forget to leave us a comment. And don't forget to
ring that bell.
May you all have the most awesome day ever.
Love ya.